Einstein is an absolute legend, and the theory of relativity is mind-blowing too. But why did he not win the Nobel Prize for Relativity? The award announcement in 1922 was probably the most awkward Nobel Prize in history. The reason behind it was not a mistake by the judges, but a drama of the century, mixed with scientific debates, political games, and personal beefs. Back in 1921, inside the solemn meeting room of the Nobel Committee, some of the top physicists in the world were arguing until they were red in the face. They were arguing over one single issue, whether or not to give the award to Einstein. The supporters said if he did not get it, the Nobel Prize would become an absolute joke. Meanwhile, the haters slammed the table, shouting that relativity was just some philosophical fantasy, and giving him the award would be the real joke. This debate got so intense that the 1921 Physics Prize was left empty for the first time ever. That shows exactly how much Einstein and relativity tore the scientific community apart back then. So why did relativity catch so much hate? Well, first off, it was just so revolutionary that it literally shook the foundations of physics. Before Einstein, Newton's universe was absolute and fixed. Newtonian determinism told us that time flows evenly like a massive river, and space is like a permanent stage that never changes. But Einstein hit us with the fact that time and space are not independent or fixed. They actually bend and shift because of mass and energy. The faster you move, the slower your time passes. When you get close to a massive celestial body, space shrinks and time slows down. I know it sounds like magic, but that is the core idea of general relativity. This massive plot twist made a lot of old-school scientists who spent their whole lives studying Newtonian mechanics feel like their beliefs were totally shattered. In 1919, a solar eclipse observation proved that starlight really did bend when passing the sun, perfectly matching what Einstein predicted. This news instantly blew up global headlines, and Einstein went from a scientist to a global superstar overnight. But to the stubborn committee experts, one successful astronomy observation just was not enough to prove this crazy theory was completely right. They stubbornly demanded more direct and solid evidence. What they feared most was that if this turned out to be wrong later on, the credibility of the Nobel Prize would take a massive hit. Because of that, relativity was constantly getting the cold shoulder back then. Scientific gatekeeping was just part of it. The bigger issue was politics and pure prejudice. World War I had just ended, and as a German scientist, Einstein was seen as carrying this original sin by scientists from allied nations like Britain and France. Handing the highest scientific honor to a guy from a former enemy country seemed super politically incorrect. What is even more ironic is that back home in Germany, Einstein was getting completely trashed too. A bunch of scientists, led by Nobel laureate Philipp Leonard, waved the flag of German physics and publicly smeared relativity as Jewish physics. They called it a gray abstraction and a scam that tainted the purity of science. This blatant bias somehow became background noise that actually influenced the Nobel selection. At this point, the Nobel Committee was holding a massive hot potato because if they did not give him the award, people would call them blind. But if they awarded relativity, they would be risking huge academic and political backlash. This put them in a totally impossible situation until they finally came up with a textbook compromise. Fast forward to 1922, they decided to give the missing prize from the previous year to Einstein. But the reason for the award was written super carefully, basically saying they were awarding Albert Einstein for his services to theoretical physics and especially for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. Notice how they specifically name-dropped the photoelectric effect, but totally dodged the word relativity. Even wilder, in a private letter to Einstein, the committee chairman threw in a little extra note. It basically said that the value of relativity and gravitational theories would be left for future testing. This line was both a polite compliment and a very clear disclaimer. So, was this photoelectric effect they used as a shield really that minor? Absolutely not. Einstein used the light quantum hypothesis to perfectly explain the photoelectric effect, which was also a massive theoretical breakthrough. It is literally a cornerstone of quantum mechanics, so winning an award for it was completely deserved. It just looked a lot safer and less prone to error compared to the world-shattering relativity. Facing this watered-down honor, Einstein himself was actually super chill about it while traveling in Japan. He just casually jotted down the news in his diary, and later gave the entire prize money to his ex-wife Mileva without keeping a single dime. Because to him, Awards were just external noise, and the real value was all about uncovering the secrets of the universe. He even joked in a letter that they decided to give him the prize, but carefully avoided mentioning relativity, which was pretty funny. But time eventually delivered the fairest judgment, and to this day relativity is not only the backbone of modern physics, it is deeply baked into our daily lives. If the GPS on your phone did not use relativity to correct satellite clocks, your location would be off by several kilometers within a single day. In 2016, scientists literally detected gravitational waves from two black holes crashing together, which proved Einstein right yet again. Now looking back at that awkward award ceremony in 1922, we realize it was never Einstein losing out, but rather a super profound footnote in the history of the Nobel Prize. It tells us that when a groundbreaking idea is too far ahead of its time, it challenges not just old knowledge, but the cognitive limits of an entire era and the evaluation system itself. True greatness does not need any award to define it, and while the prize might be late, the light of truth will always pierce through the fog of time to light up the path for humanity. And the story of Einstein and relativity is absolutely the most perfect proof of that.